If the last 2 years have taught us anything, it is that life can be pretty unpredictable. Your New Year's Eve plans may be looking a little different all of a sudden, and we are joined by a psychotherapist, Kelly Bos, who has ideas on how to still make it a great night. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Kelly, we know it's been a roller coaster ride. The last 2 years have been tough on people, and just sort of when we see the light at the end of the tunnel, in comes Omicron. And once again, as I just alluded to, New Year's Eve plans changing. How can we keep people positive? And you know, a lot of people think, oh, this is never going to end.
Well, if it helps, it is that old in with the new, out with the old. So
True.
I think we're all very excited about that aspect.
Yes.
So I think it is important to keep positive. I think a lot of us are tempted just to throw the night out altogether because it just seems like, what's the point? A lot of people had plans, they wanted to see friends, and they thought they might be in gatherings, and those were opening up a bit, and now they're closed down a bit, and people are having a hard time kind of finding their footing on it. So
Yes.
I think it's important to try and think about, when it comes to plans, what is in your control, what isn't. And so trying to find those little pieces of celebration, figuring out what's important, figuring out what's not important, and trying to find a good way to have a good New Year's Eve in a different way. And we're used to pivoting, right?
No, that's true. And that's all we've been doing, right? Is just constantly adjusting. And I think I like that idea of thinking about what's in your control. Often we dwell on the things that we can't control, right?
Yeah,
and meanwhile,
absolutely.
there are options. There are still some things we can do. And sometimes a lot of people will say New Year's is never really what we were hoping it was going to be anyway. So some of those big parties aren't really sometimes as fun as just maybe being home and being cozy and sharing with your family.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of expectation too. You feel
Yes.
that pressure to be doing something. Like you have
Yes.
to be doing something fabulous on New Year's Eve. And maybe not, and that's okay. There's other parts of New Year's Eve that's important too, like the milestone maker of it, right? We've reached a new year. We can certainly still reflect. We might be looking to the future with some, I wonder what I can hold and what I have to hold loosely here. But I think there is that aspect of being able to kind of still make it meaningful.
And you know, if we look back for the last couple of years, a lot of people have been forced to, or have just because of the conditions, have changed and have moved on to, you know, new either educating or new jobs or just new interests. And I think this is another one of those opportunities where you can look ahead and say, you know, maybe I don't know exactly what 22 is going to bring me, but I can work towards some personal goals for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So the pandemic's changed us all, probably some people in more minor ways, some in more major ways. And I think that that's important to reflect on, and maybe something you can kind of gather as information when making your resolutions. So if you're going to be doing them and you're not going to throw them out, you know, what are my goals for this year? Knowing that your volleyball league might not be running, but can you dust off some of that dusty DVDs and get exercising, or get that spin bike out of the garage?
Yes, absolutely. That's the thing. There are so many options now for doing things for yourself. There are so many online studies. You can do mini courses, free courses all around the world. I know I've been doing a lot for the last couple of years and just educating yourself. And it makes things exciting, and it gives you your own personal goals and something to look forward to.
Absolutely. I think that's what we want to incorporate. This is still something we can look forward to. 2022 is something we can look forward to. Things have changed even in the pandemic. So hopefully that continues to change for the better.
Okay, before we go, we have about a minute left. Any sort of tips on how people can stick to maybe some of their New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always something that comes up, right?
Yes.
How do I stick to it? I'm all for making them. It can be hard. Habits are really important. So if you can work your resolution into a habit that you're already doing, that can be very useful. And habit stacking is another thing. If you already brush your teeth, but you want to floss more, then make sure that you're stacking that on top. Or even if you want to do personal affirmations, stack that to brushing your teeth. It's something you already do. So we can make new things habits. And so getting that in the calendar. I always like to schedule myself too. If I want to exercise more or make sure I'm drinking more water, then you can put that in your phone as a reminder. You can write it down in your calendar that you're going to be walking with friends. just get it in the books. And I think that really helps in terms of keeping that resolution, is having some systems that support it.
Great ideas. Well, I know we're just days away from a new year, and hopefully it brings some positive growth for everybody, and maybe we'll turn a corner on this COVID as well. So thank you again. Kelly Bos Therapy. We'll have all of your socials up on chch.com so people can connect with you. So appreciate your help
Thanks
today.
so much for having me,
All
Leslie.
right.